First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Hashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, I just wanted to read this article, and the purpose, or the main point behind this video being for us to understand what's currently going on right now. So, all I'm going to be touching on is this article, and by the end of the day, we will all be informed, right? So, this article is entitled U.S. and EU Move Apart as Trump Eyes Ukraine's Minerals and Deal with Russia. It says two United Nations votes find the U.S. siding with Russia against Europe as Ukraine's Zelensky prepares to sign a U.S. deal on mineral wealth. So, like I said, Babylon ended up, at least Trump, motivated by greed. Let me just put it that way, greed, which is essentially what it is, sides with Russia rather than sign with its closest allies, or at least the United Nations, to make a stance against unjust invasions. But America sides with Russia against Europe, and there's a whole article about it. And there's sort of like America has a bad reputation amongst the United Nations, but Babylon doesn't care. So we get into the article. It says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he plans to meet U.S. President Donald Trump as early as this Friday to sign a bilateral commercial agreement to jointly develop and manage Ukraine's mineral wealth. Trump insisted on the deal 3 weeks after assuming the office in return for the assistance the U.S. had provided in the 3 years since Russia's invasions of Ukraine, telling an interviewer, "I told Ukraine that I want the equivalent of like $500 billion worth of rare earth, and they've essentially agreed to that." That's because when Trump came into power, he didn't like the fact that America was just pouring money and equipment into Ukraine free of charge, and Europe would give money and have their money paid back, but America was not. So he goes on and he signs this deal, and now I think Zelensky has agreed to it, right? It says Zelensky publicly rejected that figure, and he twice rejected any deal that did not contain security guarantees for Ukraine, because they said that Babylon was $500 million worth of rare earth, but they haven't even given us any amount close to that. America has given them $350 billion, worth of aid. So, that's that. But because they're America, they ask for more than they have given, right? So Zelensky rejected it twice, actually. There's a text. This is a text of agreement published by Western media on Wednesday. Did not reveal any guarantees and place no upper limit on the value the United States would receive, though Trump told reporters it could be a $1 trillion deal. The leaked agreement says Ukraine and the United States establish a joint fund, and Ukraine will contribute to the fund 50% of all revenues earned from the future monetization of all relevant Ukrainian government-owned natural resource assets, defined as deposits of minerals, hydrocarbons, oil, natural gas, and other extractable materials. It also included the revenues generated by infrastructure such as fossil gas terminals and ports. The revenue of this fund would be reinvested to promote the safety and security and prosperity of Ukraine, it said. So this is the deal so far. And, they have Babylon right now has kept the peace. They've stepped up and they've kept the peace for a moment, but there's a lot of resentment that right now it's only resentment, but later on it'll grow into something, right? It says Ukraine's resources are valued at trillions, right? So you have 3,000 to 4,000 billion, which is pretty much 3 trillion or 4 trillion. So you see the richest areas of Ukraine is what Russia's controlling right now, right? You see all these areas, according to America, could have, minerals, rare minerals that could be worth 3 to 4 trillion dollars, and these are the areas controlled by Russia. Now, when the talks of peace was going on, Russia was eventually said that they won't compromise on the territories that they have taken. They ain't willing to let it go, and now we see why. You know, so there's a lot of tensions going on in the world, and because the MOTB has not been established yet, the Lord has the angels holding back the four winds of the earth. He allows this. He allows this peace to take place, for a moment. But don't be mistaken. Just because things are right now de-escalating doesn't mean the prophecies that are spoken of concerning World War III will not come to pass. Just had to say that. There's a joint report this week from European Commission, World Bank, United Nations, and the Ukrainian government put the country's reconstruction cost at well over $500 billion, $500 billion. The minerals agreement also did not address where that left European Union members, who have provided more than half the military and financial aid Ukraine has received, other than to say Ukraine and the U.S. will strive to avoid conflict with Ukraine's obligations under its accession to the European Union. French Defense Minister Sebastien Lecornu revealed that he has been in talks with Ukraine since October to secure access to rare minerals vital to the defense and electronic industries. Our defense industry will need a number of very key raw materials in our own weapon system, not for next year, but for the next 30 to 40 years. We have to diversify that, he said in a televised interview. So everybody's kind of grabbing in. This is a scramble for Ukraine instead of a scramble for Africa. It says Trump has made no secret of his adversarial view of the EU. He said that the European Union was formed to screw the United States. This is the purpose of it, and they've done a very good job. He told reporters at the start of his first cabinet meeting on February 26. So, there is more and more, there is tension, and these two nations, right, EU, which is a bunch of nations, and America, one nation, are growing further and further apart. It says Tusk reacted by posting, the EU wasn't formed to screw anyone. Quite the opposite. It was formed to maintain peace, to build respect among our nations, and create free and fair trade. Trump's departure from a common position. So everyone is accusing someone of not doing their part. It says Trump's departure from a common position with Europe on Ukraine had become apparent when he started direct talks with Russia on February 18th that didn't include Ukraine or the EU. A second round of those talks was to take place in Istanbul on Thursday. As the war hits its third anniversary on Monday, Trump moved further away, siding with Russia in a UN Security Council vote that avoided naming Russia the aggressor in the war or demanding the return of Ukrainian lands Russia has seized. It says EU members on the Security Council, including Britain, France, Greece, Slovenia, and Denmark, abstained. So there it is. Now let me see if there's any more, just so you can get familiar with what's going on over there. All right. The U.S. attempted to pass the same text in a UN General Assembly vote earlier in the day, but was rejected. The resolution the UNGA did not pass also avoided naming Russia the aggressor in the war, but called for the restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity in accordance with the UN charter. And you have Russia. They are getting a lot of wins right now. Initially, when the war started, in the middle of the war, everybody was shitting on them, but now They are gaining mad respect. These nations are afraid. They ain't even trying to name them the aggressor because they know they can't just go in there and do what they want to do like they do in the Middle East, like they do to Ishmael, you know? And the Lord will put hooks in their jaws and he will bring them back to a state that is capable of waging war, right? And surviving until the Son of Man returns and he himself destroys them or puts them down. It says in 2023, Ukraine had embarked on an effort to pass UNGA resolution condemning Russia as an aggressor. Monday's resolution passed and see, the whole world is watching. And if they've seen the United States along with UN unable to tame Russia, what is that going to tell the other nations? To get down with Russia, because ain't nobody going to save them from the wrath of Russia. It says Monday's resolution passed by 93 out of 193 countries showed how far Ukraine is from garnering the two-thirds majority it seeks. The system, once based on rules, agreement, and shared values, has been under a tsunami of geopolitical and geoeconomic challenges. Now its whole existence is under question, wrote Victoria, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name, a program leader at the University of Cambridge Center of Geopolitics, in an article marking a war anniversary. In a sign of Trump's power, Europeans have tried to appease him despite the growing distance between them. And after a while, they're just going to be like, yo, F this, man. The day after the UN votes, French President Emmanuel Macron had a jovial press conference with Trump in the White House where he offered cautious support for minerals deals. He also agreed that European countries need to do more to more fairly share the security burden that our country has been carrying for so many years. Pete Hegseth, Trump's defense secretary, flatly stated on February 12th that the stark strategic realities prevent the United States of America from being primarily focused on the security of Europe, and called on Europeans to spend 5% of gross domestic product on defense. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer became the second EU leader to oblige Trump by announcing a hike in defense spending ahead of a trip to Washington on Thursday. Defense spending in the UK would go from 2 to 2.5% of GDP by 2027 and 3% by 2029, he said. So these nations, what does that tell you right now? If now all of a sudden people are focusing on defense rather than what? Simply trade, what does that tell you? It tells you that evil only and evil is come, you know? Hegseth told Europeans they would have to provide the overwhelming share of aid to Ukraine. That was underlined this week as Trump said he would not undertake the lion's share of security guarantees. Trump told reporters he wasn't going to oblige. I'm not going to make security guarantees beyond very much. He said on Wednesday, we are going to have Europe do that. That appeared to dampen the hopes of Zelensky expressed after Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, General Keith Kellogg, visited him in Kiev on February 20. Zelensky said they had had a good conversation with a lot of details on security guarantees, among other things. Yeah, he's saying, yeah, it is. You came to visit. You told us you're going to give us good security guarantees. You gave us a whole lot of details on security guarantees. Now you're telling us you ain't going to do shit. You're just going to have Europe do it. It says on Sunday, Zelensky even offered Trump his resignation after Trump called him a dictator. If it's about peace in Ukraine and you really want me to leave my position, I am ready to do that, he told reporters. Secondly, I can exchange it for NATO membership if there's such an opportunity. Earlier in the day, Russia had unleashed its largest air attack of the war against Ukrainian cities, involving 267 Shahed kamikaze drones and 3 ballistic missiles. Ukraine shot down or used electronic jamming to disorient all but 7 of the drones. And this is what's going on right now. I hope brothers are now informed, and I hope we have taken seriously what Yahushua said when he stated that in the last days there shall be wars and rumors of war. this is going to be the norm of life. Today is these two nations, and really there are a lot more wars going on right now that we just don't know. There's just a lot of small, scale wars happening. They are devastating to the locals involved in those wars, but on a grand scheme of things, they are small. But things are going to get worse and worse and worse. Esau's kingdom was not made, right, to usher in an everlasting peace. If you want true world peace, you have to pray and seek the kingdom of the Israelites that is going to be brought by the Son of Man and ruled by him, right? It's only when he has had dominion over all nations, let's get it right now, over all nation will we see true peace. This is the book of Daniel chapter 7 verse 13. It says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days and they brought him near before him. So this is Yahushua, it's like being presented to the Most High, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, and all people, nations, and tongues should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Right? Let me see. Plowshares. Right. So this is Isaiah chapter 2 verse 4. In the kingdom of heaven, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountains of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, right? And shall be exalted above the hills, and all the nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares. Whatever missiles they end up having left, which there's not going to be any missiles left, or at least there isn't going to be any nuclear missiles left. But whatever kind of, arms that they have lying around, they're going to have to dismantle it and turn it into something else. Okay, they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And so, O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord Yahweh. All right. So this is it on that. I hope this is edifying. Shalom, Yahweh, Bashim Shabrak to all you Akims and Akwafs still listening in truth and sincerity. May the blessing of blessing be upon the house, and may we look forward to salvation through our ministry until the Son of God returns and witness our works and reward us according to our works. So until next time, Shalom.